Great good morning, officers. I, Sumit Kumar Singh, welcome all of you in Magatputra DREAM-IAS. My dear friends, today in this video we are going to discuss or read, recall and revise the UPSC Civil Services Examination 2021 optional subject syllabus of history, both paper 1 as well as paper 2. First, we will start with paper 1. History as an optional subject, UPSC Civil Services Means Examination. Point 1, sources, archaeological sources, exploration, excavations, epigraphy, numismatics and monuments, literary sources, indigenous primary and secondary poetry, scientific literature in regional languages and religious literatures, foreign accounts, Greek, Chinese and Arab writers. Point number 2, prehistoric and proto-history, geographical factors, hunting and gathering, Paleolithic and Mesolithic, beginning of agriculture, Neolithic and Paleolithic. Point number 3, Indus Valley Civilization, origin, date, extent, characteristics, decline, survival and significance, art and architecture. Point number 4, megalithic culture, distribution of the pastoral and the farming culture outside the Indus and development of community life, settlement, development of agriculture, crafts, pottery and iron industry. Point number 5, Aryan and Vedic period, expansions of Aryan in India, Vedic period, a religious and philosophical literature, transformation from a Rig Vedic period to the latter Vedic period, political, social, economic life, significance of the Vedic age, evolution of the monarchy and the Varna system. Point number 6, period of Mahajanpadas, the formation of the state Mahajanpadas, a republic and monarchies, rise of urban center, trade routes, economic growth, introduction of coinage, spread of Jainism and Buddhism, rise of Magda and Nandas, Iranian and the Macedonian invention and their impact. Point number 7, Mauryan Empire, foundation of the Mauryan Empire, Chandragupta Maurya, Kautilya, Arthashastra, Ashoka, concept of dharma, edicts, polity, administrations, economy, art and architecture, sculptures, external contact, relations, spread of religion or literature, disintegrations of the empire, Sanghas and Kanwas. Point number 8, post-Mauryan period, Indo-Greek and Sakas, Kushanas and Western Kshatrapas. The contact with outside the world, growth of the urban centers, economic coinage, development of religious Mahayana, social conditions, art, architecture, culture, literature and science. Point number 9, early state and society in eastern India, decline in the south India, Kharavelas and Shatavahanas, Tamil state of the Sangam age, administration, economy, land grants, coinage, trade guilds, urban center, Buddhist center, Sangam literature and the culture, art and architecture. Point number 10, Guptas, Bhaktas and the Vardhanas, polity and administrations, economic conditions, coinage of the Guptas, land grants, decline of the urban center, Indian feudalism, caste system, position of the woman, education and educational institutions, Nalanda, Vikramasila and Pallavi, literature, scientific literature, art and architectures. Point number 11, regional state and during colonial era, the Kadambas, Pallava, Chakulyas of Badami, polity and administration, trade guilds, literature, growth of the Vaishnava and the Shaiva religion, Tamil Bhakti movement, Sankaracharya, Vedanta, institutions of the temple architecture, Pallava, Senas, Rashtrakutas, Pramaras, polity and administration, the cultural aspects, Arab conquest of the Sindh, Alvarni and the Chalukyas as a Kalyana, Cholas, Hoslias, Pandyas, polity and administration, local government, growth of art and architecture, religious sects, institution of the temple, and Marathas, Agraharas, education and literature, economy and society. Point number 12, themes in early Indian cultural history. Languages and text, major stages of in the evolution of the art and architectures, major philosophical thinkers and the school ideas in science and mathematics. Point number 13, early medieval India, 1750 to 1200. Polity, major political development in the northern India and the peninsula, origin and the rise of the Rajput, the Cholas, administration, village economy and the society, Indian feudalism, agrarian economy and urban settlement, trade and commerce, society, the status of the Brahmins and the new social order, condition of the woman, Indian science and technology. Point number 14. Cultural tradition in India in 1750 to 1200. Philosophy, Sankaracharya, Vedanta, Ramanujam, and Vasishtha Devita. Madhava and Brahma, Mimamsa, religion, forms and the feature of religion, Tamil devotional culture, growth of the Bhakti, Islam's its arrival in India, Sufism. Literature in Sanskrit, growth of Tamil literature in the newly developing language, Khalkhan's Rajat Rangini, Alverni India's art and architecture, temples, architecture, sculptures, and painting. Point number 15. The 13th century establishment of the Delhi Sultanate, the Koreans' invention factor behind the Korean success, economic, social, and the cultural consequences, foundations of a Delhi Sultanate and early Turkish Sultanate's consolidation, the rule of Iltutmish and the Balban. Point number 16. The 14th century, the Khalji Revolution. Alauddin Khalji conquest and territorial expansion, agrarian and economic measures, Muhammad Tughlaq, major aspects, agrarian measures, bureaucracy of the Muhammad Tughlaq, Firuz Tughlaq, agrarian measures, achievement in civil engineering and the public work, decline of the Sultanate, foreign contract, and the Ibn Butta accounts. Point number 17. Society, culture, and economy in the 13th and the 14th century. Society, composition of a rural society. Ruling classes, town dwellers, women, religious classes, caste, and the slavery under the Sultanate, Bhakti movement, and Sufi movement. Culture, Persian literature in the regional languages of the North India, literature in the language of the South India, Sultanate, architectures and the new structural forms and painting, evolution of the composite culture, economy, agricultural production, rise of the urban economy and non-agricultural production, trade and commerce. Point number 18. The 15th and the early 16th century, political development and economy, rise of the provincial dynasties, Bengal, Kashmir, Janyal, Ovidians, Gujarat, Malwa, Brahmanis, the Vijayanagara Empire, Lodhis, Mughal Empire, first phase, Babur Humayun, the Sur Empire, Sirsa administration, Portuguese colonial enterprises, Bhakti and the Sufi movement. Point number 19. The 15th and the early 16th century, society and culture, religion, culture, specificities, literary traditions, provisional, architectural, society, culture, literature, and the arts of Vijayanagara Empire, Akbara. Conquest and consolidation of the empire, establishment of the Jagir and Mansab system, Rajput policy, evolution of religious and social outlook, the theory of Sulai Kul and religious policy, code patronage of the art and technology. Point number 21. Mughal Empire in the 17th century, major administrative policies of the Jahangir, Shahjahans, and Aurangzeb Empire and the Jamindars, religious policies of Jahangir, Shahjahans, and Aurangzeb. Nature of the Mughal state, late 17th century crisis and the revolt, the Ahom kingdom, the Shivaji and the early Maratha kingdom. The point number 22, economy and the society in the 16th and the 17th century, the population, agriculture and crafts production, town commerce in the Europe through Dutch, English and the French companies, a trade revolution. India mercantile classes, banking, insurance and the credit system, conditions of the peasant, condition of woman, evolution of the Sikh community and the Khalsa Panth. Point number 23, culture during the Mughal Empire, Persian histories, literature, Hindi and the religious. Literature, Mughal architecture, Mughal painting, provisional architecture and painting, classical music, science and technology. Point number 24, the 18th century factor for the decline of the Mughal Empire, the regional principalities, Nizam of the Deccan, Bengal and Awadh, Marathas ascendancies under the Peshwas, the Maratha fiscal and the financial system, emergence of Afghan power battle of the Panipat 1761, state of political, cultural and economic on the eve of the British conquest. Paper 2. European penetrations into India. The early European settlement, the Portuguese and the Dutch, the English and the French East India companies, their struggle for supremacy, Carnatic Wars, Bengal, the conflict between the English and the Nawab of Bengal, Sraj and the English, the Battle of the Plaza, significance of the Plaza. Second, British expansions in India. Bengal, Mir Jafar and Mir Qasim, the Battle of Buxar, Mysore, Marathas, three Anglo-Marathas war the Punjab. Early structure of the British Raj. The early administrative structure from dietary to direct control, Regulating Act of 1773, the Pitt's India Act of 1784 and the Charter Act 1883. The voice of free trade and the changing character of the British colonial rule, the English elitarians and India. Economic impact of British colonial rule, the land revenue settlement in British India, the permanent settlement or Tory settlement, Malwari settlement, economic impact of the revenue arrangement, commercialization of agriculture, rise of landless agrarian labours, improvement of the rural society, dislocation of the traditional trade and commerce, deindustrialization, decline of a traditional crop train of wealth, economic transformation of India, railroad and communication network including telegraph and postal services, famine and poverty in the rural interior, European businesses, enterprises and its limitations. Point number 5. Social and cultural development. The state of indigenous education, its delocations, Orientalist, Anglist controversies, introduction of the Western education in India, the rise of the press, literature, and the public opinion, the rise of the modern vernacular literatures, progress of science, Christians, missionary activities in India. Point number 6. Social and religious reform movement in Bengal and other areas. Ram Mohan Rai, the Brahma movement, Devendranath Tagore, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, the Young Bengal movement, Dayananda Saraswati, the social reform movement in India, including Sati Bidu remarriage, child marriages, and the contribution of India's resonance to growth of modern India, Islamic revivalism, and the Firazi and the Wahhabi movements. Point number 7. Indian response to British rule. The peasant movement, the tribal uprisings in 18th and 19th century, including the Rangpur Things and the Cold Rebellion, the Mopal Rebellion in Malwar, and the Santal. Whole Indigo Rebellion, the Deccan Uprising, and the Munda Ulgans, the revolt, the Great Revolt of 1857, origin, character, causes of the failures and the consequences. The shift in the characters of the peasant uprising in the post-1857 period in the peasant movement in 1920 and 1930s. Factor leading to the birth of Indian nationalism, politics, and of association, foundation of the Indian National Congress, Septival's thesis relating to the birth of the Congress programs and objectives of the yearly Congress, the social composition of the yearly Congress leadership, moderates and the extremists, the partition of the Bengal in 1905. The Swadeshi movement in Bengal, the economic and the political aspects of the Swadeshi movement, the beginning of the revolutionary extremism in India. Point number 9. Rise of Gandhi character of Gandhian nationalism, Gandhian popular appeals, Rollard Satyagraha, Khilafat movement, non-corporation movement, nation politics from the end of non-corporation movement to the beginning of the civil disobedience movement, the two phases of the civil disobedience movement, Simon's Commission, the Nehru Report, the round table conferences, nationalism and the peasant movement, the nationalism and the working class movement, women's and Indian youth, student in Indian politics, the elections in 1937, and the formation of ministries, Cripps missions, White India missions, the Bebel's plans, and the cabinet missions. Constitutional development in the colonial India between 1858 to 1935. Point number 11. Other stands in the Indian national movement. The revolutionary Bengal and the Punjab, Maharashtra, UP, Madras presidency outside India, the left wing. Within the Congress, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, and the Congress Socialist Party, the Communist Party of India, other left parties. Politics of separatism, the Muslim League and the Hindu Mahasabha, communalism and the politics of partitions, transfer of power and independence. Consolidation as a nation, Nehru, foreign policy, India and her neighbors. Linguistic reorganization of a state and the regionalism and regional inequality, integration of the princely state princes in electoral politics, the question of national league, the caste and ethnicity after 1947, backward caste tribes in the post-colonial electoral politics, Dalit movements, economic development of the political change, land reforms and politics of the planning and the rural reconstruction, ecology, environmental policy in the post-colonial India, progress of science. Question number 16. Enlightenment and the modern ideas. Major ideas of enlightenment in the Kandrasi and the spread of enlightenment in the colonies. Rise of socialist ideas up to Marx. Spread of Marxian socialism. Point number 17. Origin of modern politics. European state system. American Revolution and the Constitution. The French Revolution and aftermath of 1789 to 1815. The American Civil War and the reference to Abraham Lincoln and abolition of the slavery, British democratic politics 1815 to 1850, parliamentary reformers, free traders and the chartists. Now, point number 18, industrialization. English industrial revolution causes an impact on society. Industrialization in other countries, USA, Germany, Russia and Japan, industrialization and globalization. Point number 19, nation-state systems, rise of nationalism in the 19th century. Nationalism State building in Germany and Italy, disintegration of the empire in the face of emergence of nationalists across the countries, across the world. And the point number 20, imperialism and colonialism, South and Southeast Asia, Latin America and South Africa, Australia. Now, point number 4, imperialism and free trade, a rise of new imperialism. 21, revolution, the counter-revolution, 19th century European revolution, the Russian revolution 1917 to 1921, the fascist counter-revolution, Italy and Germany, the Chinese revolution 1949. Point number 22, World War, First and Second World War at the total was, societal implications, World War I, causes and consequences, World War II, causes and consequences. 23, the World War after the World War II. Emergence of the two power bloc, emergence of the third world and non-alignment. UN and the global disputes. Point number 24, liberalization from the colonial rule, Latin American Bolivar. And the point number 2, Arab world, Egypt. 3, African apartheid to democracy. 4, Southeast Asian Vietnam. Decolonization and underdevelopment, factor constraining development, Latin America and Africa. Point number 26, unification of the Euro, post-war foundation, NATO and European community. Consolidation and expansion of European community. Now, point number 3, European Union. 27, disintegration of the Soviet Union and the rise of the unipolar world. Factor leading to collapse of the Soviet communalism and Soviet Union 1985 to 1991, the political change in East Europe 1989 to 2001, end of the Cold War and US ascendancies in the world as the lone superpower. So these are the syllabus of paper 2 history. We have already looked the paper 1 of history, UPSC Civil Services 2021, optional subject syllabus. So that's all. Thank you. Have a great day.